It is the Reier on YouTube channel, and it is time once again for No Sleep TEAL, a program dedicated to discussion involving the AFC South, very much leading Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm Travis Reier. He's Evan Reier. Evan, I don't know what there really is to say after the performance on Sunday. They're starting, the Jags are, to stack quality performances, and really it starts at the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. The thing you want to see out of a guy in his fifth year as a starter, as you look to be pointing towards another AFC South championship, is are we starting to really enter the golden years of the Trevor Lawrence experience?
I mean, God willing, right? We've waited long. We've waited long enough. But no, I mean, we talked about last week stacking performances together, and over the past 2 weeks, he's been able to do that. And I would say the performance that Trevor had against the Colts is probably, I feel like, the best I've seen him play since maybe 2022. I mean, that was a tremendous performance. Decision making on point, made some really impressive throws. That rollout across his body to hit Tim Patrick down the sideline. That was something that maybe 5 quarterbacks in the NFL can make that throw on a decently consistent basis. So that was encouraging. The rushing game wasn't even as big of a factor, but still ETN was pretty solid. They did enough. Yeah, it was a really, really top to bottom good offensive performance.
Yeah, you in the run game, you're right. You were able to kind of make it a wash, which going into the game, you probably would have taken considering what Jonathan Taylor and the Colts are capable of with that
Yeah,
rushing offense. But did a good enough job against Taylor, I thought. Obviously, the quarterback situation for the Colts, as we
yeah,
learned just here in the last little bit, Philip Rivers
yeah, dude.
coming back to the Colts. And in all seriousness, you hate to see that for Daniel Jones,
Yeah,
a guy who had really sort of resurrected his career in Indy. It had been trending a little bit in a negative uh, direction for the Colts. He was playing on a bad wheel already, and then to have the injury he had, I thought Riley Leonard in that situation, especially for a very young quarterback, performed about as well as you could hope. But the Jags defensively, +2 and turnover takeaways. So that's another encouraging sign. We talk about stacking, and we're seeing that from that Jaguar defense now, too.
oh yeah. I mean, this is, in terms of overall list of weapons, as good as any offense the Jaguars have faced all year. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the talk is always about Jonathan Taylor, but I mean, you talk about Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce as two, your number one and number two, as well as Tyler Warren. You were able to, essentially mitigate those guys. Now, it's not like they didn't do anything, but you at least kept them kind of covered. And not to mention, too, that when you take a big early lead like that, when you're playing complementary football and you're
Mm-hmm.
able to kind of work from ahead, yeah, there's going to be some garbage time box score filling, So really encouraging from the defense. Devin Lloyd looks as good as he was looking at the beginning of the year, which is really, really nice to see. Antonio Johnson continues to pop up and make big plays all over the place. Really like seeing that. Not to mention too, like guys like Strigow and some of those like second level defensive line guys. That's
Mm-hmm.
really awesome to see them contributing as well.
They are. And this isn't new for the Jaguars defense. They've been pretty much really good throughout the season, but
Yeah,
it seems like even they still have some room, still have some ceiling as good as they've looked. Devin Lloyd, pay me year for that guy,
yeah,
right? So you're happy with it. I mean, to get out of him what you really couldn't get out of him previously has been a revelation for this defense. Special teams. I mean, Logan Cook's going to be really good. Cam Little with a couple more field goals, including one that gets us BOGO this week at the Firehouse. So we always like that. And then this offensive line that probably hasn't been talked about enough by myself anyway. They continue to get the job done. I don't know if there's like a Pro Bowl spot for a sixth offensive lineman. Kind of should be like the sixth man in
yeah.
basketball award, like the sixth offensive lineman in football award. I think Cole Van Lannon would be up for it at this point.
No, plug and play, right? I mean, he has helped in a variety of different ways this year. And then now what's been exciting over the past couple of weeks is that it seems like we're kind of settling on the 5, and Cole Van Lanen's part of that crew.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I don't know if I want Walker Little back in the mix because I like what this 5 is doing with Cole Van Lanen included. Yeah, you keep Trevor clean. The more you can do that, the more that he can feel confident when he's taking a step back or two. That's a huge deal, and I feel like you saw it. I mean, the way that Trevor was throwing the ball,
decisive,
the attitude and different stuff. I mean, there was a sense of swag that we don't typically associate with Trevor Lawrence. Even when he's playing really well, you're still kind of like, I don't know, man. Every time he was letting it fly, I felt like, oh, he's about to do something sick here. Not,
let it rip. Let it rip, Ev.
What's up?
Let it rip, right?
Dude, I mean, if that's what it looks like to let it rip, then by all means, I mean, go crazy. Yeah, it's tough though, because just to touch on what you're saying with Danny Dimes, they really were in like a no-win situation because, you go through back-to-back losses. If Danny Dimes says he can play, then you let him go out there, but then you let him go out there and he tears his ACL or tears his Achilles, excuse me. And now, I mean, the Colts are in free fall. Like they might not win another game all year.
It doesn't get easier for them schedule-wise, really.
It looks brutal. And then you traded 2 firsts for Sauce Gardner, who didn't even play this past Sunday. I mean, they might have, bitten, I get it. Like, you got to go in the win now mode and stuff like that. But they might have ended up screwing up maybe years of their playoff hopes. Like, because this is really bad for them.
Yeah. The Jags like playing their backup quarterback on Sunday. It's nice to get Nick Mullins in there in a 20-point game, 17-point game, 3-score type of game. Not the same situation. Now Leonard's dealing with health issues after the game. And there we see Phillip Rivers now, 44 years old, signing on with the Colts as a practice squatter. He's been a high school coach down in South Alabama.
That's what
he's actually got a son he's been coaching that in a year or two, I think. I'm not sure he's going to be Manning like, but he might be in terms of the pursuit of him. But we get back to the running back position specifically, and it was almost a carbon copy stat line for Jonathan Taylor. 21 carries, 74 yards, a touchdown. Travis Etienne, 20 carries, 74 yards, but 2 touchdowns. And I still continue to like, as good as Trevor looked throwing the football, I still like that occasional quarterback run in there for him. But man, in terms of his options, even without Parker Washington on Sunday, was this a true he's back moment for you with Brian Thomas Jr.? You're going to need to see a little bit more consistency, but I don't know. I don't know if to credit Jacoby Myers for sort of reinvigorating that room in general. Getting Brenton Strange back, as we talked about, obviously has been huge, but I did like the Brian Thomas Jr. we saw, especially on the perfectly thrown ball from Trevor down that Indianapolis sideline early in the game, and Thomas makes a very impressive catch at the end of it.
Well, you can't stress how important it is to hit a deep shot like that early in the game. It just kind of, creates an uneasiness in a secondary that might have been thinking, we can go pick Trevor off a couple times. And instead, oh, whoops, we might be in trouble. I think I need like another game or two for BTJ doing what he did on Sunday. But I mean, that was really encouraging as well. I mean, really just rock solid. Jacoby Myers was the guy with the drop in that game, actually. So there you go. But that's the thing is, you can make mistakes as long as the guys are picking each other up when it calls for it. You think about Bayshell Tootin putting the ball on the ground. That was the lifeline that the Colts desperately needed. Now, in that case, the defense was the one that kind of picked up for Tootin getting that 4th and 1 stop. But no, I think BTJ might be turning a corner. I think maybe – they could have had him back even a little bit sooner. I'm wondering if they said, "Hey, dude, just take your time. Let's get centered. Let's get back to what we do best." Because he looked like 2024 BTJ on Sunday.
I think I liked the most from BTJ was the ball he caught in the middle of the field that he should have caught.
Yeah.
but it was a 180 from the effort we saw against the Bengals in a similar situation. And I think part of it too is maybe sometimes, a guy gets the sense that, hey, from the rest of the team, we're going places with or without you.
So
And
yeah.
sometimes that can be a great motivational force. But to see BTJ averaging 29 a catch, did have 6 targets, 3 catches, and Tim Patrick, right? I mean, this guy continues to be along the lines of what we've talked about with Jacoby Myers in terms of Trevor Lawrence is absolutely, totally comfortable going there to
Yeah.
Tim Patrick. 5 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown of his own.
No, and that's the thing is, I mean, I guess you could say the fastball that Trevor hit his hands, the play
Yeah.
before the touchdown catch. Yeah, I guess you could say that was a drop. You'd like to see him make that grab, but really, it didn't matter. He was really, really smart on that rollout touchdown pass that he caught. Just immediately hugged the sideline, gave Trevor a spot to throw it that wouldn't put him in a lot of trouble. Because there's no timeouts on that play. If for some reason Trevor goes down, or if the ball's caught short of the goal line, I mean, they might not be able to get the offensive or get the kicking unit out there on the field. So no, Tim Patrick deserves a lot of credit, especially since like 3 or 4 weeks ago we were wondering like, do we need Tim Patrick? What is he actually bringing? No, I mean, he's really solid. Between now Jacoby Myers, Tim Patrick, and Brenton Strange, and really Parker Washington, reliable hands are now all over the field for Trevor Lawrence. He's got guys that he can trust to go across the middle and make a catch, or high point make a catch in Brenton Strange's case. So really encouraging. I mean, right now there's reliability and explosiveness in this offense.
Receptions of 39 for Brian Thomas Jr. in the game, 37 for Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
So you did have, an element of explosiveness. Jacoby Myers long grab of 14. Brenton Strange had a 16-yarder in the game. And then conversely for Indianapolis, I thought Jacksonville defensively did a pretty good job of, yes, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., when you look at the numbers, 14 combined catches for 159 yards. But when you do the math on it, the Jags really weren't bitten by the explosive play while also forcing the turnovers. Sometimes that's a tough line to walk, right? You're so anxious and wanting to produce negative plays, sacks, tackles for loss, takeaways. You can put yourself in some compromising positions. It wasn't a perfect game for the Jaguars defense, but I think one that, again, as you talked about earlier, against this kind of offense, even after Daniel Jones went out, one that I think Campanelli's pretty happy with.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Daniel Jones is definitely a step above Riley Leonard, but the way that Daniel Jones was, hampered by, I think, his concern with his injury before he tore his Achilles, I don't know if the score would have ended up that different with Daniel Jones on the field. At the very least, I think the Jags still win this game by 7 to 10 points.
Yeah.
That's how good this performance was. I mean, I don't know, that's it's something that Liam Cohen touched on afterwards, but the talk of this game is, Daniel Jones goes down, Jaguars cruise to an easy win because the Colts don't have Daniel Jones.
Right.
I think this Jags team wins this game no matter what, really, based on what we saw. And then Cohen spoke on that, right? He said, "I don't think we're going to get any respect." So that's great fuel for us. Which, at this point, you need to lean into it, because even right now, after this win, the Jags are leading the division with a game up, and everyone's talking about the Texans. So it's give them all the bulletin board material. I love that stuff.
Yeah, Duval against the world, Duval versus everybody. It is a real thing. I mean, you look elsewhere around the league and fan bases, how they have just consistently thrown crap at Jacksonville and not really being an NFL town, and they're going to lose the team and all this other noise that has been consistent throughout the years. Sure, lean into that. Absolutely. Why not? And so when you think about what's coming up, speaking of bigger markets, the New York Jets, how much trust now do you believe this fan base has in this Jags team? Do you feel like for the most part, it's a situation where it's the hapless Jets coming in here. Jags will be professionals, continue to play at a high level, regardless of competition, because what we've seen are the Jags really struggle more against the Raiders and against the Cardinals and teams like that. The bigger stages, Chargers, Chiefs, Colts, other than the Rams, right, in London, they've pretty much stepped up in those spots. What do you think about that?
I think that if this game was being played in New Jersey, then I would be a little nervous, just because this has all the makings of a trap game, right? Like you've got this really big matchup up against the Broncos on the road the following week. You could, if it was like back-to-back road spots, it'd be a weird one. I would be a little nervous, but because this game's at home, and at the end of the day, if you win this weekend, you are pretty much ensuring that you make the playoffs, even if you fall apart the rest of the way.
97% right now, right?
Right.
I think that's the probability of the Jags just making the playoffs. I think
if they get like a loss or two here or there and they win this weekend, they clinch. Like they just outright clinch a wild card spot.
And the Colts down the road for that second matchup are going to be without Daniel Jones.
Right. And it's Titans I think there's motivation. I think there's no reason why the Jags shouldn't show up for this game. Also, the Jets are really, really bad. Like the Jets have put up the white flag at this point. Like that loss against Miami, they got down 21-0 in the first quarter and just said, F it. Like we don't care. So that's the kind of game that the Jags need to have too. Go ahead and go up 2 scores in that first quarter. Go ahead and just put your mark on the game, and you should be able to just see it out.
No Quinnen Williams to worry about on that defensive line now that he's in Dallas, right?
No,
no
sure.
Sauce Gardner.
No Sauce Gardner, no Quinnen Williams. I mean, offensively, there's not really a single guy on that squad that's even the semi-talented guys like Breece Hall, like they aren't putting up numbers this year at all. So
all of that screams danger to me, but that's probably just me.
it would be very Jags to go drop this game. But even I think this could end up like the Raiders game at like really how I can see it is like, okay, you effed around, or the Cardinals game, like you effed around with a bad team, but you're stacking wins. You've been, with this group specifically, at this point, you know how to win games. Like you can go finish it out. So even if it ends up being a little closer than we would like, I think the Jags got it. I think they're 12-point favorites right now, which is
big number in the National Football League.
Easily the biggest number I've seen the Jags have in like probably like 4 years. Like that's a huge number. I mean, I'm not too
stranger danger. Yeah,
I'm not as worried maybe as I would be like in years past in this type of situation.
So you're trusting.
I will say it feels better being the team that's surging forward and not the cursed AFC South leader like the Colts were this year, the Jags were in 2023, the Titans were in 2022, where whoever's leading the division at the halfway point has to fall apart. Right now, the Jaguars avoided being the leader at the halfway point, and they're surging, but obviously so are the Texans.
You want to go back and curse that fourth quarter in Houston.
Oh my God! If you win that game,
same time, how this team has handled that. Could it have?
The Bengals and Texans.
I still can't call that a positive. I mean, when you've got a divisional road win in your back pocket
and you blow it,
and you basically choke it away. You can't look back on it. I know this is a popular narrative this week around Jacksonville. Well, maybe that's what spurred this team. No, I can't go that far with you.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I get it. I get why it's out there, but no.
Well, the thing is too is that if you do that,
you know who else it spurred? You know who else it spurred? The Houston freaking Texans.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. If you close that game out in, even somewhat normal fashion, then the Texans might not be picking up the momentum that they have right now.
Yeah.
So
people might be talking about D'Amico Ryans and his job security and things like that. Now he's safe as kittens.
Yeah, he's good.
And he should be.
That defense is so scary.
And the Chiefs, man, they're not helping. You know,
Nope.
Chiefs could have helped
A little
and
bit.
didn't get the job done.
Well, I will say too that that Bengals loss as well. I mean, if you have those 2 wins that you should have had, then you are in a 3-way tie with the Broncos and the Patriots.
Yeah. Number 1
At
seed.
the same record, anyways, right? So,
Yeah.
you might be going into Denver trying to play for the number 1 seed of the AFC, but instead now, if you have hopes for that, you're going to need both help from Denver and New England. Probably not going to happen. I will say though, as things stand right now, the Jaguars would play the Bills, I think, in Jacksonville. I would love to get up another spot if possible, get to that 2-seat spot.
Yeah.
Because
and by the way, the Chiefs can keep losing. Here's to the Chiefs, just because I don't care what they look like right now.
Well, and while the Texans are scary,
figure out a way to get in, and they're in Jacksonville in a rematch type of mode, I don't like that.
No, me either. While the Texans are scary right now, I still, of course, would rather play them than the Bills in the playoffs. Like just as simple as that. And really, the Jaguars in the 4 seed doesn't anyone basically whoever wins the AFC South is not getting the 4 seed at this point. You're either getting the 3, the 2, or you're in the wild card. So, that 2 spot could end up being a very big deal later in the year. Really, really would like that, but. We'll see, man. I mean, you got to take it one game at a time, right? That's what Liam Cohen always says is let's go 1-0 this week. So that's
still not enough cachet for this organization to look past even the lowly Jets.
No, not
coming
at
up
all.
on Sunday.
Not at all. But I will say too, another big thing about this win was that it was fairly healthy.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yep.
The Jaguars have gotten fairly lucky, I would say, over the past month because they weren't lucky to start the first half of the season. You couldn't really say that they were lucky with injuries. The past 4 weeks, nothing really disastrous has happened. If anything, guys are just getting healthy, getting back on the field, looking good. So, I mean, if you continue on that path, the Jaguars have no reason to think they can't really go beat anybody in the AFC right now. So.
Yeah. I mean, Trayvon Walker, looking.
He wasn't even
a
big factor yesterday.
No,
I mean, he did have a really nice. He had the 4th and 1 tackle.
Things.
He had the 4th and 1 tackle. That was a really nice play, but wasn't even the biggest deal yesterday.
That's because they're more complete. It feels like, especially in that front 7 right now, that you're not as dependent on 1 or 2 guys as it's felt like. In recent years. Ev, anything before we get out of here? I am at, by the way, Party Girl, Avondale, where Avondale and Fairfax meet on the west side of Duval. The dinner special, the take-home dinner special today at Party Girl. Pork tenderloin with roasted veggies.
Wow, that sounds good.
Yeah, it smells great in here, man. Good stuff. You also have a dessert option that is a sour cream pound cake.
Ooh,
really good stuff.
Man.
And all these staples, from the chicken salad to the pimento cheese to the great assortment of cookies. Party Girl Avondale, 4205 St. John's Avenue. The phone number 904-300-3025. Ev, what do you got before we get out of here?
No, that's it. Probably the best vibes around a Jaguars team in probably 2 or 3 years at least, right? I mean,
easily. Since a couple of Decembers ago, right?
It's exciting. Savor it, make it last. And we'll see what happens against the Jets on Sunday.
Yes, we will. And Evan and myself will be back to talk about that and everything else related to the Jacksonville Jaguars when No Sleep Teal returns right here on Reier on YouTube. For Evan, I'm Travis. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, so long, everybody.